YouTube family, I got a heart-rending situation here. My heart was in the right place. I was really trying to educate some viewers, some people who just aren't naturally good at fighting games or don't really have a sense of how to play them, but just kind of enjoy the concepts, but just don't really have quite the tools to really be as good as they want to be. And that was ultimately my goal. I wanted to be able to educate a few of those people and possibly help them out, because I mean, like I said, I don't feel like I'm the greatest player. I know I'm not, but I do feel like I'm naturally a fighting game player. So I think of things a little bit differently, so sometimes in ways that other people don't. And I kind of wanted to kind of share some of that knowledge as far as this particular game mode, King of the Hill. And I jumped on the game. I double tapped the share button, started recording, and started doing a live commentary, talking about everything that I was analyzing as the game went on. And at the end of the day, it came down to me saying, "All right, let's take a look at the gameplay." And I realized that I didn't have include mic audio selected on my share settings. And the live commentary, all of the good in-game, commentary, it just got missed, and it really, really, really sucks, because I felt like you would have gotten the full benefit if you would have been able to see, my thought process live, pretty much as it goes on, as the people were fighting. But now I'm gonna just pretty much be explaining some of the tips and whatever that I was talking about. You just won't get to see them on the fly as before. But one of the things I did was I intentionally started recording the video when I was 2 or 3 people outside of my first fight with the king. And what I was explaining was, King of the Hill is a great game mode, and it's fun being the king. It's fun defending your throne. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how much practice you put in. At the very end of the day, the king is at a massive disadvantage after about 1 or 2 fights. What I pointed out in this particular situation was we had a full lobby. So, in an instance like this, let's say the very last person gets up and fights the king, assuming that the king beats all these other people. At the very minimum, that person would have saw the king fight, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 different rounds at the minimum, assuming that none of the rounds go to around 3. And with that knowledge, it's crazy, because it doesn't matter how good you are, everyone's going to have the same tendencies. Everyone's going to lean to a certain style that makes them comfortable playing. Every single person. So if you watch the king fight over and over and over again, you get the opportunity to try to adjust to what his style is, especially if he uses the same character. And that's kind of the mistake that this particular player made against me. He used the same character for every single fight. Same variation, I believe. Did everything the same for every single fight. Now, he was whooping ass. Don't get me wrong. But that's not a good way to try to run a King of the Hill. And now, like I said, I started out a little bit further back. Just kind of watched him play. And as I watched him play, I just kind of noticed a lot of the different things. And I think after maybe 2 matches, not sure exactly, I realized that, you know what, even though Cryomancer is my favorite Sub-Zero, I know more combos with him, I know more mix-ups with him, he feels better for me to use. A lot of people like Grandmaster, but I like Cryomancer. But looking at the way this gentleman played, I said, you know what? I think that Grandmaster would actually be much more useful against the way he's playing. And I said that, I think maybe two matches before I actually fought him. So I went with Grandmaster, and the way Grandmaster plays, it really kind of mixed up this guy's abilities. He couldn't get a lot of the same combos that he was getting off before. A lot of his mix-ups weren't the same. And ultimately, although I feel like this guy was a better player, I feel like he puts in much more practice than I do. I feel like he knew his character a little bit better than I knew my character in that variation, of course, because I know Cryomancer pretty well. But at the end of the day, he couldn't win because I had studied him for such a long time, for such a great period of time, that when it came down to me finally figuring out, okay, this is probably what I need to do to beat him, you know, it wasn't really much he could do. Because here's the thing, as the king, you get 1 round to try to learn how your opponent's gonna play. If you don't learn in that whether it's the first round or the second round, if you don't learn how that person plays quick enough and then make your adjustments, you'll lose. And that's the tough thing, because they've gotten the opportunity to watch you fight. They've gotten the opportunity to watch you for at least 2 rounds, and depending on how many fights you've done. So you have to be able to adjust so quickly as the king to see, okay, how is this person gonna fight? They may beat you one time and then never beat you ever again because you get a good chance to adjust to them. But you only get 1 round to do that. So he probably could have beat me maybe the second time or maybe the third time we fought, but at the end of the day, I got a chance to really watch him play. And I was able to just kind of really counter it. And before he could get a chance to adjust to what I was doing, it was already over. And another thing about mixing somebody up, if you get someone uncomfortable, it doesn't matter how many times they practice their combos. A lot of things don't matter when they're suddenly uncomfortable. When they're not getting the same combos off on you that they were getting off on, you know, some of the other players, then all of a sudden, when it comes around to them actually getting certain opportunities, they might choke. You know, towards the end of this match, this guy was actually getting through on some of his combos, but he was dropping them. And he was dropping them because he wasn't getting them so frequently on me, and he wasn't able to play the exact same style against me that he was playing against the other players. And with that being said, he actually dropped a lot of his combos because they weren't in rhythm, they weren't in flow. It's kind of like how sometimes you're practicing a certain combo and you're hitting it all day one day, and then the next day you're just not hitting it. And I kind of pushed him out of his rhythm by switching to this particular variation. He couldn't move as freely as he wanted to. He couldn't jump around like he wanted to, the way he was doing with some of the other guys. And it really cost him, because then a lot of times when he got to the point where he was like, oh, I'm actually getting my hits off, you know, he was in a different state of mind as far as, okay, I need to go here with this, I need to go here with this. You know, that's the combo right there that he has hit quite a bit on the other players. But I started to switch it up, and as a result, you know, I was able to win the match. Well, I guess I kind of spoiled that, but it is what it is. You know, I really enjoyed this. I really wish I would have been able to put the live commentary up, because I really did go in depth in that live commentary, like literally playing and explaining how I was going to win, what I was going to do, what attacks I was going to use, the confidence level that I felt as far as my opponent. And I think that, one, not only is that extremely difficult, it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to know your character so well, or be comfortable enough fighting your opponent that you can literally straight up do a live commentary and kind of explain your way of beating the other player, you know, all while still getting it done. See, here's the thing. He won that first round. But then I realized what I was doing. And I was able to adjust. And after I adjusted that first round, I was able to win. But I just kind of want everyone to be able to kind of just see that it's all about just really kind of studying, you know? This fighting games are no different from, well, they are different from a lot of other games, but fighting games are a lot like just anything else, pretty much. You have to practice. You have to get it to the point where it's almost a part of your just natural thought process. And I use this analogy every time I do a video like this for fighting games. You have to get these things down, kind of like the way you learn how to ride a bike or learn how to drive a car. You get in the car, and when you're first learning, it's like, okay, let me turn the key, let me look at my window, okay, brakes here, gas is here, let me back out, let me not push it too hard, okay, a stop sign, let me slow down, blinker, it's time to turn. But once you really get it down, you're not doing that dumbass shit anymore. You're just driving, looking at chicks, texting, which you shouldn't be doing at all, talking on the phone, which you probably shouldn't do that as well. But so much more suddenly becomes, you know, a part of it, because you've been doing it for so long that it becomes second nature to you. It becomes second nature to you. And that's ultimately where you need to be in your fighting games. And that's when you're going to start to have the most fun. That's when you'll start to be able to make certain adjustments mid-game and everything. Just so fun, really challenging yourself in a fighting game. I feel like it's funner to be good at a fighting game than it is to be good at pretty much any other type of video game. That's just me personally. And you know, I'm not a tips and tricks kind of person, because I feel like tips and tricks kind of diminish the individuality and the originality of each individual player, you know. So I don't try to tell you that you should do something some way. I try to kind of teach concepts, you know, and you take these concepts and you apply them to the way you want to play. And one of the things I did here, just on a quick note, I used Grandmaster, and to kind of delay the fact that I know people get to watch me fight, I immediately switched to Cryomancer from Grandmaster, and now I get a fresh reset. Nobody knows how I use Cryomancer, so that's kind of like an advantage that I tried to use, because I knew, hey, they watched me play Grandmaster, and even though it's possible that that person may not be good enough to beat me, even when I use Grandmaster, I eliminate that threat completely by switching my character. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Because I just wanted to throw that in there real quick, because this is my first time as King. I ended up winning 9 matches in a row, and I was thinking to possibly upload both of those, but I'm probably not going to upload the other 2. This ended up being a 3-part video, and it was all live commentary. And me being King is where it kind of started to get pretty good. But like I was saying, I really feel like each individual person kind of just needs to build their own. I don't want you to play like me. I don't want you to play like me. I don't want you to use the same character as me, you know. But if you take into account these concepts, you know, you can really play however you want, but still be good and still be a challenge. And that's one thing that I think other YouTubers just kind of struggle with. They find something that works for them, and they just say, hey, you should do this. And what does that do? That makes the entire game boring. And nobody wants to play with each other anymore, because why would we? So there's that. I don't know if I'm going to upload the rest. I'm not sure. If I do, there probably won't be commentaries associated with them. But that's just kind of something I wanted to go over. I kind of like to educate, tell people, you know, things that I feel like can help them be a better player. So let me know what you think, and I'll see y'all.